What's up guys, it's Mike from Powers Crafts and Camping, and today I'm gonna do like a two-part thing for this ZT here. My buddy Fish, he sent it to me to review it, and I want to do it justice, and I want to do Fish justice. So I want to give this knife its due diligence, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna split this up into like me using it and kind of talking about me using it, and then a review video, like an actual review video. So where I sit down on the tabletop, the camera's either looking at me or it's looking at the knife, and then I just talk about some things I like, some things I don't like, and but yeah, I hope you watch both videos and I hope you stick around for it. Thanks guys. Alright, so this is the use side of the review. In this video you're going to watch me cut a little bit of food with it, cut a little bit of cardboard, and cut a little bit of wood. And I've got some thoughts on when it was cutting the cardboard, cutting the wood, cutting the chicken, and the foods. So first and foremost, what I want to say is, well, you'll hear me talk about it more whenever you watch me cut cardboard, but this knife is not a great slicer. In use, this knife was not a great slicer. Another thing was, this knife is very durable, very well built, very strong. So I would not be afraid to pry up paint cans with this. Another thing is, people gripe about ball bearing pivots. I'm a plumber, guys. I use this knife around dirt and sand all the time. I'm a plumber in Florida. I'm constantly digging. And this knife has been in the dirt with me and has just fired right back open like no one's business. So I don't know where everyone's getting all this information that ball bearings don't like dirt, but I haven't cleaned this thing once since I had it, and that was whenever I first got it. And it's still firing open just fine. I think that's kind of where that hole right there comes in to play, is letting that debris fall out of the ball bearings. But yeah, so I'll let you get on to the use videos and we'll talk about it. Alright, so got the ZT0308 right here, and we're going to see how it goes carving wood. I'm doing the handle on one of my paddle strops that I sell. So yeah, we're going to see how it does. It's a little thick behind the edge, so I don't know how good it's going to do with wood carving. But we're going to see if we can get through at least one strop handle. Yeah, it's pretty thick behind the edge. Obviously it's not meant for just carving wood, so yeah, the Spyderco, basically Spyderco Pair 3 and Paramilitary 2 is definitely a much better option if you're going to be carving a lot of wood with your pocket knife. But obviously a dedicated wood carving knife is going to be better than any of them. So and this knife is sharp, so don't think I'm trying to do this with a dull knife. We're going to dig into it and see if it'll take off a lot. Let's see. Yeah, it's just not much of a slicer. It's kind of the same problem I have with like my 940 Osborne, the Benchmade. Kind of about the same problem I have is it's really thick behind the edge, and that's good. That's good for a knife that you're gonna, you know, your life might depend on or something, or a knife that you want to take outside of the normal tasks of cutting and slicing. But you know, a knife, its first job is to cut. So if it can't cut everything well, then that's okay. But it definitely needs to cut. This thing, it does great. As you'll see in the cardboard cutting section of this video, it can cut through cardboard. I mean, it's not anything like a razor blade or anything like that, but I think pocket knives are more like general utility than they are specialized. Like, obviously a Mora would be much better for this than the pocket knife, any pocket knife really. But yeah. So again, not perfect for it. Definitely not going to take off material as quickly as I could with my more classic. I'm definitely not going to have the same control, but let's do a little comparison. So I got my pair 3 in my pocket. Yeah. See, I wouldn't mind carving a whole paddle strop with the pair 3, just because it's got a nice grind, real thin behind the edge. It's a good cutter. But this guy will do. If you need him to do it, he'll do it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and touch up the ZT0308 because I'm getting ready to cut some cardboard with it, and I don't want anyone to watch the review and say, oh, that knife wasn't even sharp whenever you started. So, by the way, if you're watching this, these Milwaukee ink saw markers, way better than Sharpie. Just so you know. And I'm going to sharpen this exactly like I sharpen all my other users. Actually, I sharpen all my knives this way. DMT coarse, DMT fine, medium ceramic Spyderco stone, green chromium oxide strop. I don't care if you say the green chromium oxide and alumina, ceramic, and all that isn't good. I don't care. And I guess I could use this as a, hey, this is how I sharpen knives video. That's really just going to be thrown into the ZT series, or video I should say. Alright, all that's gone, so we got a good angle on that. Now I'm really just doing like a touch-up sharpening. Most of the time if I'm doing a touch-up sharpening, I won't even hit the coarse, but we're just gonna go for it anyway. Alright, let's see. The reason I'm spending more time on this side than the other side is because I was having a hard time maintaining the angle on this side. Alright. So I guess I'll explain a little bit what I'm doing. So most of the time whenever I'm sharpening a knife, I will color the bevel, go back and forth motions on one side until all the marker's gone, go back and forth motions on the other side until all the marker's gone. I don't really count strokes too much, but if I did, I'd say I'd probably do about 10 to 12, maybe 15 strokes per side. And I count one stroke as down and back. So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3. After I do that, recolor the bevel, and now I just do towards me, just one direction strokes. So edge leading strokes. And these ones I will count I'm not using a terrible amount of pressure either. Just kind of like a moderate to light moderate pressure. And now that I've pretty much got the angle set on this thing, like in my muscle memory, I'll kind of just go with it. And now I'll do single strokes each side. Now, whenever I switch over to finer grits, I won't go back and forth now. Now I will just do edge, leading strokes. I'll probably do about 10 to 12 per side. Again, I don't really count them out. I just do it. Sharpening. You can be as scientific as you want or as rudimentary as you want. And you can still get a knife sharp. Now, am I going to get this knife whittling hairs? No, not at all. Do I care? No. I don't whittle hairs in my everyday life, so I don't care if this knife whittles hairs. Now these DMT stones, these ones that I'm using right now are fairly new, so they're still a little bit more aggressive than they normally would be. That's okay. I don't care. And now I'm lightening up on my pressure. Sorry about that, guys. The memory card filled up, so I had to go in and delete some videos. But like I was saying before it happened, I was lightening up on some pressure. Just kind of refine that edge a little bit more. Okay. That's feeling pretty good. I'm going to run the edge through a block of wood, knock off any wire that might be on there. Still feels fairly sharp. Alright, moving on to the last stone. Set my angle. Go back and forth. So on this last stone, I'm starting with a light pressure. I'll probably do 5 strokes, 6 strokes with this pressure, and then I'll go even lighter and finish off with that really, really light pressure. And now, just with very light pressure, like the pressure of the blade, I'm going to strop. I don't really strop to maintain, like there's people that will maintain their knife by just stropping it. I use my knives pretty hard. So my strop is just my finishing touch. I would never just maintain a knife on a strop. I'll always, the minimum I will do is the medium ceramic and the strop. Now I know people like to shave with their knives. I will sometimes. Yeah, that's shaving sharp. Most of the time I don't. Most of the time I check it on my fingernail. And if I can barely touch that knife to my fingernail and it scrapes by barely touching it, I know it's sharp. If I don't have to bear down to scrape on it, I know that knife's sharp. Oh yeah. Alright. You watch me sharpen it. Now you're going to watch me cut cardboard with it. Now I'm not going to go through and cut cardboard until it doesn't shave anymore. This is just to kind of show how the knife goes through cardboard, because this is a thicker knife. It's thicker behind the edge. It's meant to be thicker behind the edge though. So see it. Going on a corner first. And yeah, there's some noticeable resistance going through that cardboard, and as you can see, it shaved my arm hair, and it still feels sharp. Like it's not dull at all. I think it's still shave hair for sure. But the thing is, it's thick behind the edge, and it's meant to be. It's meant to be a durable knife. So cutting cardboard isn't exactly this knife's forte. Which, I don't know, it's kind of a bummer to me because, sorry, knives are supposed to be knives first, you know? You're supposed to be able to cut with them first and foremost. Let's go across the grain on this cardboard. I mean, you have to put some noticeable pressure behind that. Let's take my Para 3, for example. It's got some adhesive on it. Let's go across the grain with that. Oh. And while I do have to put some pressure on that, it's a lot less, and I notice it in the hand. Again, this thing, I don't even know if it's shaving. It's like on the cusp of not shaving sharp right now, but it still shaves a little bit. Let's do a down the grain comparison side by side. So here's the ZT, and again, I'm having to put, see, it just tore right there. I'm having to put some noticeable pressure on that knife. Now let's take my Spyderco Para 3, which is not as sharp as I explained to you guys. And it's able to go through a little bit easier. Now granted, this knife, I could totally lift up the lid of a paint can with the tip of it, and I wouldn't worry about it at all. It would be completely fine. The Para 3, however, if I try to lift the lid of a paint can up, it'd probably do it, but I would be scared. I would be scared. So this thing doesn't really eat cardboard like some slicers will, and it just depends. You have to think to yourself, you know, what am I going to put a knife through every day? First and foremost, a knife is meant to cut. So if it doesn't cut well, then it's not doing its first job well. A knife is one of those things that it's not really meant to be a jack of all trades, you know. This thing's kind of like a sharpened pry bar, as to where this thing's an actual knife right here, you know. Sometimes you want a sharpened pry bar, sometimes you need a sharpened pry bar. But I will say, cutting this cardboard though, that the ergos on this knife are freaking fantastic. And I love that. It's all rounded and smooth. It's beautiful. But yeah, it's just, you guys already see what I'm going through here. And I mean, it maintains its edge, you know. Cardboard is notoriously hard on knife edges. But, you know, I honestly would have no problem prying with this thing. And I have pried with it for my review. And I'll tell you guys more about it in the review video. But this is just more like a sharpening and using video. Alright. Catch you later. So this portion you're going to watch me cut up some chicken with it. I didn't feel like doing the audio while I was cutting up the chicken, so I decided to do it now and then just kind of voice it over. So some thoughts on cutting food with the ZT0308. The blade in hand, it kind of felt like a mini chef's knife. It didn't feel like a paring knife or anything small like that, but literally like a chef's knife, just compacted. The blade was tall, but not so tall that I didn't like it. Whenever I was cutting the chicken, the thickness behind the edge didn't even really feel that thick. It went through meat very easily, went through veggies very easily. I didn't try any potatoes or any root veggies with it though. In this next part, you're going to watch me cut open bags of pebbles, and that's hard use on any knife. But the knife still had a usable edge afterward. I could still cut open packages, and if I needed to, cut cardboard. The edge was brought back pretty easily with the ceramic stone from Spyderco and a couple swipes on a strop. Right after that, it was able to scrape my fingernail pretty easily, and I didn't try to shave with it, but I could only assume that it possibly was able to shave. Alright guys, that was the use video. I want to say thank you so much for watching, and make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I'll catch you in the next video.